Let me take this opportunity to welcome our Premier back from abroad. Premier, hope you've missed us. Welcome back, and to the MECs present, the members of this august house that is present, the different political parties represented, the officials. I'm glad to see there are some chairs that are filled on that side, not yet filled, leader of government business, but I see they are filling up on that side. To the guests in the gallery, good morning to all of you. We acknowledge your presence, as well as those that are following us on the social media networks, such as our Facebook and our YouTube. Ditini kuni molweni nonke. Goeiemôre mense. Yes, we have to greet all of those ones. So, before we start the business of today, let's first acknowledge all of those that are having birthdays or had already had their birthdays, those that are celebrating anniversaries of whatever. Congratulations to all of you, and to all of those who were, even if we were not together, who were cheering for the Bokke and who had no voice after that. My voice is back, Deputy Chief Whip, after that scream of Saturday. Well done also to our players that have made us so proud. I think it was quite a historic occasion for all of us. Those who are favoring other teams, I'm very sorry that your team could not emerge on the day. But for us who are Bok supporters, ons weet wat ons weet. Nee? So, honorable members, once again, please be reminded this is a formal sitting of the legislature, and therefore all the standing rules of the legislature applies. Members and guests must keep their cell phones and other devices on silent at all times. Please, at all times. We are having a very long day today, so please bear with us. There's quite a number of issues that we will be dealing with. So we are pleading with members to be patient, and I'm quite sure the different political parties will be able to deal with these issues as they emerge. Honorable members, we will now first start with our notices of motions. I have quite a number of them. I will indicate so that everybody can just confer that these are the members. I've not left anyone out. Is it only my ears? I seem to have some kind of an echo going here. It must be the mics. Honorable Makashela has got one. Honorable Miller, Honorable King, Honorable Fishlani, Honorable Vantyu, Honorable Mlokoti, and Honorable Matikizela. That is the order that I have received it. I hope I've not left any other of the honorable members out. So, honorable members, before we start the notices of motions, once again, I am noting that the EFF members are again not appropriately dressed in terms of the dress code of the legislature. Therefore, that matter is once again will be sent to the Ethics Committee to deal with the matter and come back and report in that process to us. We will now start by calling the Honorable Chief Whip, Honorable Makashela. You are up first.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Greetings to you, the Honorable Premier, the members of the Executive, as well as all members of this august house, and the guests at the gallery. Honorable Speaker, I move without notice in terms of Rule 130 of the Standing Rules that despite the provisions of the Standing Rules of Procedure of the Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature, that the House approves the sitting times of the House to be 10 o'clock for the 10, 11, and 12 of September 2024. I so move.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Whip. Honorable members, I put the motion. Thank you. Is that the only one, Honorable Chief Whip?
Honorable Speaker, thank you. Honorable Speaker, I move without notice in terms of Rule 130 that the House notes that Heritage Month is celebrated annually in September to recognize and honor the cultural wealth of our nation. Further notes that the celebration of Heritage Month aims to foster greater social cohesion, nation building, and a shared national identity. Acknowledges that our nation's heritage is rich in cultural diversity, historical significance, and cultural oneness, and that the preservation and promotion of our heritage are vital for educating current and future generations about our collective past and shared values. Therefore, this House resolves to reaffirm its commitment to the protection, preservation, and promotion of our nation's diverse cultural heritage, encourages all citizens to participate actively in Heritage Month activities, and to explore the rich cultural tapestry of our nation. Calls upon DISRAC to strengthen its efforts in organizing inclusive and meaningful Heritage Month celebrations across the province, urges educational institutions to incorporate heritage studies into their curricula to ensure that young people understand and appreciate their cultural roots, supports initiatives that use modern technology and digital platforms to document, preserve, and share our cultural heritage with a wider audience, advocates for increased funding and resources for heritage preservation projects, museums, and cultural institutions, encourages collaboration between government, civil society, and communities in the planning and implementation of heritage conservation programs, recognizes and honors individuals and organizations that have made significant contributions to the preservation and promotion of our national heritage. I so move, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Chief Whip. Honourable members, I put the motion without notice. Can you be a bit louder so I can hear you? Thank you. That's very well. Honourable Miller.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker and all honourable members. I hereby move notice in terms of Rule 131, subsection 1 of the Standing Rules of this House, and noting that the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium will host a significant Champions Cup rugby clash on the 7th of December 2024 between the Stormers and the French Giants Toulon, marking an opportunity to revive the world-class rugby in the Eastern Cape. That this match has the potential to reignite the passion for rugby in our province and can lead to future high-profile events, contributing to both sport and economic growth. 3, that the packed stadium for this event will support local businesses, including vendors, hotels, and other tourist-related enterprises, enhancing local economy. The rugby is more than a game in the Eastern Cape. It is a cultural unifier, a source of pride, and a beacon of hope, especially for our youth, offering opportunities both on and off the field. That reviving rugby in the Eastern Cape can foster a sense of community, inspire young athletes, and demonstrate that Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium is ready to reclaim the place of global sport. Therefore, Honourable Speaker, I resolve that the Department of Sport, Rec, Arts and Culture in the Eastern Cape develop a long-term plan bring high-profile rugby and other sporting events to the Nelson Mandela Bay Stadium, ensuring sustainability of sport in our province. 2, that the Eastern Cape Provincial Government actively supports initiatives to promote rugby at all levels, from grassroots development to professional competition, including infrastructure development and funding of our local teams. Number 3, that the Eastern Cape Premier, our Honourable Oscar Mabuyane, lobby the national government to increase investment in sport development, particularly rugby, to bolster the region's profile for opportunities for young athletes. 4, that this House, us sitting here, encourage all citizens of the Eastern Cape to attend the 7th of December 2024 rugby match to demonstrate the widespread support for the revival of rugby in our beautiful province. And 5, that the Nelson Mandela Bay Municipality partners with local businesses and community organizations to maximize the economic and social benefits of hosting such event and ensuring that the whole province can benefit from this big sport event. I so move. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honourable Miller. Honourable members, we note the motion and it will be debated at a later stage in accordance with Rule 133, subsection 1. Can I just indicate, honourable members, that indeed we have left out Honourable Pillay, and we will allow Honourable Pillay to come in at the end. There was one of the notices of motions. My apology. We will now call upon Honourable King.
I hereby move in terms of Rule 130 of the standing rules of this House, noting Amatola District Municipality comprising 6 local municipalities, Umpashe, Nguma, Greykai, Amatlati, Ngoshwa, and Raymond Umhlabe faces significant challenges in managing veld fires due to its under-resourced disaster management and fire services. In August, veld fires lasting 7 days ravaged the district, particularly affecting Mbashe, Ngoshwa, Amaslati, and Raymond Umhlaba municipalities, displacing communities and placing the town of Oxburg on high alert. The fires, exacerbated by 80 kilometers per hour prefrontal berg winds, destroyed 230 hectares of timber valued at 13.2 million rand and approximately 2,500 hectares of grazing land. Despite the efforts of 400 firefighters, mostly volunteers from the local communities, farmers and plantation owners, the fires exposed the significant challenges faced by the district. Further noting, the Amatola District Municipality firefighting efforts were severely hampered by the inadequate water infrastructure, aging fires and rescue fleets with only 30% operational, and firefighters lacking basic resources such as up-to-date uniforms. During the same period, fires in Kumga and Duchwa forced local communities to rely on external assistance, such as a construction company, due to the lack of insufficient firefighting vehicles. The economic and tourism sector of Amatola District Municipality are at risk, as failure to address these challenges may lead to further devastation and potential loss of life during future disasters. Therefore, this House resolved that the MSC for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Zolile Williams, engages the Minister of Kokta, Honourable Tlabisa, to urgently address the disaster management and firefighting challenges faced by the Amatola District Municipality. A comprehensive disaster management plan, including the upgrading of water infrastructure and the provision of adequate firefighting equipment and resources, be developed and implemented within the district. Regular progress, updates on the improvement to the disaster management and fire department should be submitted to the House within 90 days of this resolution. I so move.
Thank you, Honourable King. Honourable members, I put the motion. Unfortunately, it is not adopted. Honourable Fishlani, next.
Honourable Speaker,
Can you just be seated? When we ask for adoption, you need an overwhelming majority of the House to concur. You can't have a few members agreeing. And it is where I am sitting, I can clearly hear and see who is agreeing to it or not. So when you have a few voices just raising agreed, and then there is quiet, then that motion can't obviously, serve the light of day. So,
Speaker.
On what rule are you raising?
114, Speaker.
On what rule are you raising?
114, Speaker
There's
says...
No, wait, I will go to 114.
Actually, there's nothing that says I must mention
Yes, just sit down.
Speaker, there's nothing that says I must mention the rule before I stand up.
No. Can you please sit down? Can you please sit down? There is such a rule.
On a point of order, Honourable
Because
Speaker.
the 114 is a demand for a vote.
Yes,
Yes,
that's
please,
what
can you
I'm
sit
demanding
down?
for.
Can you please sit down?
I'm saying you can't measure the votes by voices. We're demanding that they must be voting on this
No,
motion.
it's not. That is not the rule of the House. Sit down and I will explain to you
Honourable
if you
Speaker.
are not. Please sit down, Honourable Madikizela. If you are noted, if we ask in terms of the rule, if it is a motion without notice, the Speaker must put it for adoption by the House. So in there, the general rule is that you listen to those who are in favour. And you need the majority of the House to be in favour. It has been the practice. It is not your first stint here. It has been the practice there. So if you want me to put this motion of Honorable King again, I will do so. If the majority is not going to agree with it, then I can't let it pass just because 2 or 3 agrees with it. That is why I will always ask for the adoption.
On a point of order, Honourable Speaker.
Yes, Honorable Kasim, what is your point of order?
I rise in terms of Rule 97(1)(a) of the standing rules of this House. Honourable Speaker, in terms of Rule 97(1)(a), a member raising a point of order must commence by quoting the exact rule or standing order, or at least the principle or subject matter upon which the point of order is based. It does not say and, it says or. Honourable Speaker, you have consistently shut down members of this House from raising points of order by insisting that they quote the rule, whereas the standing rules of this House does not require that they must quote the rule. It says very clearly in 97(1)(a), or at least the principle or subject matter upon which the point of order is based. I'd like to urge you, Honourable Speaker, that in complying with these rules of which you are the custodian of in this House, that you allow honourable members, when raising a point of order, to, if not quote the rule, at least be able to quote the principle or subject matter upon which the point of order is based, to hear the member out, and then, in terms of your rights, make a ruling in that respect. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Kasim, for reading to us the rule. The rule says, must commence by quoting the exact rule or the standing order. Wait, that is the first thing. Or at least the principle. So when you allow to ask them on which rule are you rising, then they throw in a rule. In this case, a rule is thrown in as a demand for a vote. So I allow the member to speak. And I go to the rule and I look at what is the member raising, a demand for a vote, and I ask the member, sit down. In most of the cases, in the majority of the cases, members are quoting rules out of context, or even the issues that they would want to raise is not dealing with the issue at hand. And I will consistently call members out of order. Now I will go back to Honourable King to show the process and to educate those members. Honourable.
Order, Speaker.
No, I am going to put, I have
Sorry,
already ruled.
Honourable Speaker.
Now,
No, Speaker.
I have ruled that I will again put the motion of Honourable King.
but-
I will do that. I will not be interrupted at this point, because the presiding officer, in terms of the very rule book, has ruled. Thank you. May you switch off your mic? Thank you so much. Yes. We put the motion without notice from Honourable King.
Agreed.
Any objection? Okay, thank you. Honourable Fislani? Yes, because it's the first time that people have spoken up. You can't have 2 or 3 people agreeing to a motion. That has always been the rule, Honourable Kasim. That's why I find it so difficult to understand when people want to complicate the most simplest of processes within the legislature, and this is one of the most simplest processes in the legislature that there is. We are now, Honourable Fislani. Yes.
Honourable Speaker, I move without notice in terms of Rule 130 that the House notes that Justice Meyer has been appointed as a Chief Justice of the Constitutional Court of South Africa, making history as the first woman to hold the esteemed position. Further notes that Justice Meyer's appointment represents a significant milestone in the pursuit of gender equality and diversity in the highest echelons of the South African judiciary system. Acknowledges that Justice Meyer brings to this role a wealth of experience, having served with distinction as a president of the Supreme Court of Appeal, the first woman to hold that position as well. Further notes that throughout her career, Justice Meyer has demonstrated unwavering commitment to upholding the rule of law, protecting human rights, and advancing the cause of social justice. Recognizes that her appointment serves as an inspiration to the women and girls across South Africa and beyond, showcasing that there are no limits to what can be achieved through dedication, expertise, and perseverance. Therefore, I move that this House extends its warmest congratulatory messages to Justice Mandisa Maya on her historic appointment as the Chief Justice of South Africa. Recognizes the significance of this appointment in promoting gender equality, diversity within the judiciary. Commends Justice Maya for her exemplary service to the legal profession and her contributions to the advancement of justice in South Africa. Expresses confidence in Justice Maya's ability to lead the Constitutional Court with wisdom, integrity, and commitment to the constitutional values. Implores to all sectors of society to support Justice Maya in her new role and to continue with working towards a more inclusive and equitable justice system. I so move, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Fishlani. Honorable members, I put the motion without notice. Thank you. We now go to Honorable Vanku.
Honorable Speaker, I move without notice in terms of Rule 130 that the House notes with deep sorrow and remembrance that on the 12th of September 1977, Steve Bantu Biko, a courageous leader of the South African Students' Organization, SASO, and the pioneer of Black consciousness philosophy, tragically died in police custody at the age of 30. Further notes that Biko was unjustly arrested in Grahamstown on the 12th of August 1977 and was subjected to brutal and inhumane treatment during his detention in Port Elizabeth, where he was chained to a grill, left lying naked on urine-soaked blankets, kept in leg irons for 48 hours, and eventually suffered fatal brain damage following an assault. Recognizes with outrage that after sustaining severe injuries, Steve Biko was transported, chained and untreated, in the back of a police van over 1,133 kilometers to Pretoria, where he tragically died shortly after arrival at the prison hospital, without receiving any medical care that he desperately needed. Condemns in the strongest terms that the apartheid government's blatant disregard for human life, as exemplified by the former Minister of Justice and Police, Jimmy Kruger, who cold-heartedly dismissed Biko's death with a statement, I quote, "That lot may, quote, I don't care." Underscoring the cruel indifference of the regime towards the dignity and lives of Black South Africans. Calls upon this House to honor the legacy of Steve Biko by committing to the ongoing struggle for justice, equality, and the protection of human rights for all people of South Africa. Further urges the government to continue raising awareness of the atrocities of apartheid. This will ensure that the sacrifices of leaders like Steve Biko are never forgotten and that the future generations remain vigilant in safeguarding the democratic values that he fought for. I so move.
Thank you, Honorable Vanku. Honorable members, I put the motion without notice. Thank you, Honorable Mlokoti.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Ndiphakama ukudlulisa izindululo sovelwano ngokwesiqendu 129 semithetho emileyo yendlu. Kungosizi kakhulu ukudlulisa amazwi ovelwano olunzulu nolusuka emazantsi ezinhliziyweni zethu kusapho oluphantsi kwelifu elimnyama lakwambangeni ngokubizwa koyisemkhulu kwesitya sabo esibe sisihle ugqirha Bishop Jessica Mbangeni, intombi ebelibhongo neqhayiya imbunguzulu ephuma izandla yaseMpuma Koloni eyalibona elamagadahlabayo ngomhla wama-22 kweyeThupha ngo-1977 eNqgamakhwe. uJessica uyinzalelwane kwindawo etyebileyo yenkcubeko yesithili sase-Amathole, apho ilifa lakhe lesixhosa laphembelela ze lantshulisa liqaqambisa umsebenzi wobomi bakhe. uJessica ubeyimbongi yomthonyama, ebengeyombongi yomthonyama nje kuphela, kodwa ebesisibane ebesiliqange likhanyisa ngenkcubeko namasiko. Ndithetha ngenkokheli eqaqambileyo ngokomoya nevangeli kunye nompondo zihlanjiwe womzabalazi ozijule ijacu, wanikela ngobomi bakhe ekulondolozeni nasekukhuseleni inkcubeko yaseAfrika. Wafunquka walifulathela elaseMpuma Koloni iphondo wayokuthi xada eRhawutini, apha waba lilungu kwiqela lemvumi ezaziwayo iSoweto Gospel Choir, apho ukugqama nokuqaqamba kwale nkwekwezi kwahluma khona kumsebenzi wakhe. Yile mbalasane engunokhala uGubevu uJiyane ulikhenkethile ihlabathi njengonozakuzaku wenkcubeko. Ilizwi elimyoli likaJessica eyimbongi kwanemvumi lintyuleze lavakala kwihlabathi liphela, livakala lizisa umphefumlo weAfrika kubaphulaphuli behlabathi. Igalelo lakhe kwicandelo lobugcisa nenkcubeko alinakubaliswa, kwaye ushiya ngasemva umzila olilifa lokuxhotyiswa nokuzingca ngobuAfrika. Kusapho lwakwambangeni, kubathandi nabalandeli bakhe, sivakalisa uvelwano olungazenzisiyo sisithi sikunye nani kule ntlungu, nathi yeyethu masiqhekezelane ngayo. Ngamana umoya kaJessica ungaqhubeka ukukhuthaza kwaye uphakamisa inkcubeko njengoko enze njalo esadla amazimba. I so move.
Thank you, honourable members. We will note the condolence motion. Honourable Madikizela.
Honorable Speaker, I stand before this House today to call for the immediate renaming of Rhodes University to Steve Biko University. We cannot, in democratic South Africa, continue to honor a war criminal like Cecil Rhodes, a man whose ruthless legacy is one of violence, plunder, and brutal subjugation. Rhodes is a man who believed in the superiority of white race and orchestrated the mass dispossession of black people in the Cape Colony, driving them from their land to make the way for the colonial industrial development. This tragic history continues to haunt us, and the symbols of Rhodes' violent past must no longer be paraded in our land. Speaker, the EFF in July 2020 submitted a motion for the removal of apartheid statues and symbols. In September 2020, this House supported the resolution. The Eastern Cape Legislature's resolution was a significant step towards reclaiming our dignity as Africans. It was a resolution driven by the recognition that apartheid statues and symbols are not just relics of the past, but active reminders of dehumanization and oppression of our people suffered. These symbols may evoke pride for those who benefited from colonialism and apartheid, but the majority of black South Africans, they invoke pain, anger, and constant reminder of historical exploitation. We must ask ourselves, Speaker, why decades after the fall of apartheid, we still tolerate the glorification of those who oppressed us. Cecil Rhodes, through his racist and imperialistic ambitions, laid the groundwork for the apartheid system that later entrenched the suffering of black people. He laid the foundation for racial segregation, the theft of resources, and the exploitation of African labor. His actions paved the way for the violent dispossession of our land, which remains unresolved to this day. Speaker, it is this violent legacy that Steve Biko stood against. Biko's fight for black consciousness and liberation is the legacy we should honor, not the crimes of colonialists. Renaming Rhodes University to Steve Biko is not just symbolic, it is a necessary act of decolonization. Our children should not be educated under the banner of a man who believed in their inferiority. Instead, they should walk into an institution that bears the name of a true African hero, martyr of our liberation. In this regard, EFF calls upon this House to give feedback on what has been done since the Eastern Cape Legislature resolution to do away with apartheid symbols was made over 4 years ago, and who should be held accountable. Furthermore, the EFF calls on this House to formally write to the Department of Arts and Culture, as well as the Department of Higher Education, to begin the process of renaming Rhodes University. The time of half measures and delays is over. Decolonization, it cannot be just a buzzword, it must be lived reality. I so move.
Thank you so much, Honorable Madikizela. Honorable members, I put the motion without notice.
Agreed.
Honorable members, let's go to the last notice of motion. Honorable Pillay.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to move with the notice as per the standing rules of 131 of the Eastern Cape Legislature. This House acknowledges that the informal sector is a major part of the global economy. Over 85% of the people in Africa work in informal economy, which employs almost 2 billion people. In South Africa, the informal sector is small but significant because over 2.5 million make up 20% of the total employment take from that sector. Honorable Speaker, we further note that small, medium and micro enterprises, we call it SMMEs, also known as small businesses, spearhead the sector and play a crucial role in our economy. The informal sector has different segments and categories spread out value chains ranging from agriculture, trade and manufacturing, etc., etc. Noting that this sector has the potential to create employment opportunities for a substantial percentage of South Africa's working population. Further noting that these SMMEs can actually leapfrog our nation to a middle-income economy as witnessed by other countries across the globe. Unfortunately, Honorable Speaker, 70% of the SMMEs in South Africa fall within or fail within the 5 or 6 years time span. We further note this phenomena of high, small, medium and micro enterprises failure rates is one of the main developmental issues South Africa is currently facing. Even though several provincial departments offer SMMEs a wide range of help in the form of funding, mentorship, growth and marketing, the results fall short of expectation. Therefore, the House to resolve that the provincial government enhance the structure and a coordination of the SMMEs through the development of all-inclusive, well-structured delivery platform that can include multiple solutions as well as it can accommodate all key stakeholders. Instead of concentrating on loan provision, support programs can be prioritized either by skill development or grant opportunities. Lastly, government organizations must make use of their channels of communication to raise awareness of the availability of support for the SMMEs from various corners. I so move.
Thank you, Honorable Pillay. Honorable members, the motion will be, we note the motion and it will be debated at a later stage in terms, in accordance with Rule 133, subsection 1. That's right. Honorable members, that brings to an end the notices of motions. We will now go to the member statements. I have only received 2 member statements. That is from our Chief Whip, Honorable Madikizela and Honorable Dr. Knutzer. I hope I've not left anyone out. Those are the ones that I have received on my desk. Over to you, Honorable Chief Whip.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is with deep concern that I rise to address a disturbing and growing trend in our nation, the alarming increase in the murders of public representatives. The recent assassination of Councillor Mpho Mahlezo of Raymond Mhlaba local municipality is a tragic reminder of the escalating violence targeting those who have dedicated their lives to public service. The brutal killings of councillors and other public officials are not isolated incidents. Across the country, we have seen an uptick in the violent attack on those tasked with serving their communities, from political assassinations in KwaZulu-Natal to deadly ambushes in the Eastern Cape. This rise in the targeted killings of public representatives undermines the very fabric of our democracy. This trend is more than a matter of personal tragedy. It poses a direct threat to governance and the functioning of local and provincial governments. The culture of fear and intimidation creates and discourages individuals from entering public service and erodes public trust in the state's ability to protect its leaders. As we mourn the loss of Councillor Mahlezo and others who have met similar fates, we must also confront the root causes of this violence. Corruption, political infighting, and gender-based violence are some of the root causes of fueling these attacks, with public representatives often being caught in the crossfire. We call on all our law enforcement agencies to strengthen their efforts in investigating and prosecuting these crimes, ensuring that justice is swiftly served. We also urge all levels of government to prioritize the protection of public representatives and address the underlying political tensions that lead to such violence. Honorable Speaker, if we do not act decisively, we risk losing more of our dedicated leaders and further destabilizing the governance of our communities. Let us unite against this wave of violence and protect the democracy that so many fought for and continue to serve. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Makashela. Honorable Knutzer. Dr. Knutzer.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the residents of Paradise Beach and Aston Bay in Jeffreys Bay in the Kouga local municipality is facing a growing crisis that could soon render them unable to gain access to their properties through an established route, which is the causeway. That has been the established route for over 50 years now, and that causeway is crossing the Sekui estuary. As the Department of Economic Development and Environmental Affairs has up to now refused to grant them permission to breach the mouth of that estuary. At the heart of this problem is that causeway, which was built in the 1970s, which serves as one of only 2 access points to the residents of the Paradise Beach area. However, the causeway, which is recognized as key infrastructure in that municipality, is currently flooded and badly damaged due to the closed mouth of the Sekui estuary. The water flowing over that causeway is causing serious damage to the infrastructure. It is filled with hazardous potholes, and at this stage, because it does not have any fencing next to it, is posing a serious risk to the lives of motorists and pedestrians using that causeway. The alternative route is a 15-kilometre detour on a gravel road and is not really a practical solution to the people living in Paradise Beach. Despite the growing risk to public safety and the municipality's application for emergency intervention in terms of Section 30A of the directive under the National Environmental Management Act, it has been dismissed as a non-emergency. The decision disregards the significant deterioration of the causeway infrastructure and the daily danger residents face as they cross over the waterlogged and damaged road. Even more concerning is that COCTA actually previously gave the Kouga municipality 10 million rand in disaster funding to repair this causeway, which further proves to me that it is considered to be a key and important infrastructure in the eyes of government. That 10 million rand disaster funding cannot not now be allocated to repair this road because it remains waterlogged and damaged. The lack of proactive intervention not only undermines the safety of residents, but threatens to value that allocation of taxpayers' money. The municipality actually has an approved estuary management plan in place that was signed by the MEC to protect this natural resource. I therefore call upon the MEC of Deed to please reconsider the refusal to issue a directive and act swiftly to prevent further deterioration of this causeway. Thanks, Honourable Speaker.
I will now hand over to the Honourable Premier, who may assign the responses to the relevant MECs. Over to you, Honourable Premier. You have 10 minutes to respond. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and good morning to all honourable members and guests. I think Honourable MEC Ngata can just update on the member statement from Honourable Magashela on the work we're doing on crime in general. Of course, we would want to take the opportunity once again to extend our sincere, heartfelt condolences to the families that have been losing their loved ones due to crime, which we are now really mitigating and really containing. On the second one, Honourable MEC Peters will be able to talk to the issues Honourable Nuzia has raised and around that particular issue. I think it's a specific issue that relates to environmental management. Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. If you may allow MEC Nat.
Honourable MEC, you have 9 minutes remaining.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and greetings to honourable members. The issue of crime in the province is indeed a matter of concern, particularly on the three hotspots being Gqeberha, Nelson Mandela, Gqeberha, and Buffalo City and OR Tambo. And we are working together with the national minister who has visited our province 3 times already. We already have a draft framework which seeks to implement the district development model in fighting crime, which is going to be signed by the local municipalities. We'll start with Nelson Mandela Metro, where we pull together our resources in the fight against crime and divide the areas into policing precincts, where you know who from SAPS is working in this area, who from traffic department in the province and in local is working in this area, whom from the private sector security companies is working in this area. There will be those kind of divisions that lead to effective use of resources, but accountability, you know, so that people don't just drive around, but are allocated to specific policing precinct. The second point is that with the 1,000 police officers that came out of the college and went to train in various police stations for in-service training, we have we've got 10,000 for the province, but for Gqeberha we have allocated about 310 there into various specialities. And the minister, in his visit, appointed one general from head office to be responsible for special operations, and the other general to be responsible, hailing from another province, to be responsible for strengthening our crime intelligence capacity. And the helicopter has been allocated for Gqeberha, and the other one will be allocated for Mthatha as part of strengthening our fight. We have also, as a Department of Community Safety, allocated about 99 safety brigades for Gqeberha, only 33 KwaZakhele, 33 Katwesi, and 33 in Zwide. We have allocated 50 at Biki safety brigades as a department, including about 90 scholar patrollers on top of that are allocated to various schools in the province. We have had engagements with communities on top of launching the hotline so that we ease deal with the fears of people unable to report to police because information will leak. Now there is a hotline, and already in that hotline is helping where people share information, and police are doing follow-up on that information as part of our efforts to fight crime. That's the long and short of it, Honorable Speaker. Only to urge honorable members that all of us, we must work with communities, and I am pleased with the organs of people's power, as we have seen in Mthatha yesterday, where the ANC and its alliance components and organs of civil society led a march against crime. That is a call to basics, where organs of people's power were mobilized and claiming our streets and our villages, taking control of their communities. And our communities mobilized and our organization mobilized, working together with government, we can never be defeated. We as public reps, we should be supporting those efforts. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Ngata. Honorable Premier, is it Honorable Peters? Yes.
Somlomo manibulise kuwe somlomo namalungu onke alindlu wisomthetho. Responding to the question by Honorable Knutsie, is that yes, as the department, we did receive an application that was made by Kouga municipality, and we responded to Kouga municipality. So if there are further interactions between the department and Kouga, I would advise Honorable Knutsie to ask Kouga municipality to write back to the department, and we'll take it from there. Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. That concludes the member statements. We will now go over to the executive member statements. And these are provided for in our standing rules. I have received an intention to move from Honorable MEC Ngata, and I will allow him to present the statement for 5 minutes. Thereafter, political parties will have 3 minutes each to respond, starting with the official opposition in that order. Over to you, Honorable MEC.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Greetings once again. On the question of extortion or protection fees, as it is commonly known, the city of Mthatha remains the epicenter of this criminal act, whilst the 3 hotspots, Buffalo City and Nelson Mandela Metro, are also affected. The act is premised on terrorizing our communities and seeks to undermine the state and the rule of law. And this act seeks to enrich a few criminals at the expense of the poor. And the act robs the businesses of their hard-earned gains and also lead to loss of possible job opportunities for people in our communities. This act of criminality also has tainted the reputation of our province, and the 3 major economic centers have been affected, which has already possibly led to chasing some investors away. This act is not only criminal, but it's also evil, and it's something that will never be accepted or tolerated. Mthatha, the epicenter of these acts of extortion, is where we have concentrated some of our efforts and resources to root out these incidents. These are operations that are mainly driven by the brains and the browns, with our intelligence units providing the brains and our specialized units, such as the National Intervention Unit, providing the necessary technical and physical strength to deal with the perpetrators of these crimes. And those who have been and continue to terrorize our communities and our businesses, once and for all, we're going to ensure that we root this conduct once and for all and restore law and order. These teams are dealing with them one by one. and decisively dealing with the present ones who have dared to test the arm of the law, who have dared to presently attack the state, have been put to their place. We know evidence of that as we sit in this House. And we have to extend our special salute to the men and women in blue who are carrying out that work amid extreme intimidation and at times brazen attack. The support staff, we ensure that the officers on the ground are well taken care of. We are simply proud of the work they have and continue to do so far. We are encouraged by the meaningful inroads they have made in rooting out this scourge and taking out some of the elements. We are now geared towards going behind the kingpins. We are pleased to support, with the support we're getting from the communities, including the march I referred to yesterday, which was staged. We continue to encourage them to use our 24/7 extortion hotline, which is 082-387-1561, so that we can continue to nab the perpetrators of these crimes. We are alive to the fact that Mthatha is only the epicenter of this evil act. We are committing to deal with them in whatever shape and form they appear, wherever, including all these other hotspot areas. We understand the state our communities find themselves in, living life of constant fear. Their concerns are legitimate. Their fears can never be downplayed. But in the same breath, the strength of the criminals and extortionists can never be overplayed. I want to assure this House and the public at large that, Madam Speaker, that we'll continue to deal with extortionists and criminals in general, one by one and in masses at times. For whatever strength they may think they have, will never match the might of the state and united with the people. Let us beat the scourge of this crime. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Honourable MEC. I now call upon the DA. Your 3 minutes.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. And to the Honourable MEC, you'll recall that last year there were marches that took place here in Buffalo City, 2 massive marches. I attended both of them. So the march that you referred to in Mthatha is not the first of its kind. There was a petition that was handed over to your office, and we struggled at the time, MEC, or the community struggled, and they complained to us that they struggled to get any response on that petition, and they felt as if the issue at the time was being undermined and labeled as if it's only an issue that affected foreign nationals in this province. And my worry, Honourable MEC, through you, Honourable Speaker, is that this matter has been coming along for a period of time, and only now we are pretending as if it is a new issue. And my input into this, Honourable Speaker, is if we truly are going to deal with the scourge that has now overtaken us in the province, and I acknowledge the work that has been put in place, we are not going to be able to do so unless we deal with those within the ranks of law enforcement that has enabled this scourge to take on the character that it has taken on at the moment. I'd like to ask, Honourable Speaker, to the MEC, what efforts have been put in place to ensure that those that have enabled the extortion rackets to thrive in our province for a period of time, to unearth them, to expose them, and up to now, has any individual within law enforcement been exposed and been action taken against them in this respect? Because this should not have taken us until this point to get to where we are. Had action been taken last year when the request was made to do so. In fact, there was a conference that was held here in September last year, just down the road, where the MEC's office was invited and did not attend. This is an issue that needs to be dealt with decisively, and the people of our province want to see that those who have enabled this internally are being unearthed in order to restore trust with our community. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honourable Kasim from the EFF. Seemingly no one. Oh, Honourable Ven. Is it Vena?
Thank you very much, Speaker. I will
Yes.
speak on all the items.
Your 3 minutes starts now.
Yeah, thank you very much. We have consistently raised this issue of having a firm government here in the Eastern Cape against criminality. And now things have come to this level, and our people are no longer confident in government. This thing of extortion, gangs in Nelson Mandela, also the fact that now our old people who are earning pension, they are also targeted by these criminals. And our worry is that when the former honorable member, Mr. Bobby, raised an issue here that we don't even know where is our commissioner, the provincial commission. He has never put a foot here so that he can take this house into confidence to deal with these things. So we are worried that even the government, led by yourself, Mr. Ngata, is not able to take us into confidence so that when we go to our communities, we are able to give hope and tell them that tomorrow will be better. So we so wish that you can use this platform. We've been listening all over. We so wish that you can use this time to assure our people, even this hotline that you are launching, that our people still don't trust government. They don't trust people, they don't trust even police. To a point that even the provincial commissioner of KZN has availed himself to say the premier can write to the national commissioner to ask for help, because there is seemingly no leadership in the Eastern Cape. I so wish that you can show leadership like we have been calling. Be firm on criminals, don't negotiate. I think it's these things when I premier that of joking about serious things here. I'm raising a very serious matter that we as the government of the Eastern Cape, we must show that we are serious about these crimes. And criminals must know that they have no place here in the Eastern Cape to take over our streets. There is government here. So I so wish that Honorable Natu, you
Thank
can
you so much, Honorable
take
Member.
us through
Thank you.
and make
You may
sure
be
that
seated, Honorable Member. Thank you.
the commissioner
You may
is
be
in
seated,
charge.
Honorable
Thank you very
Member.
much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I now go to the UDM. Is there anyone from the UDM? Your 3 minutes starts now.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. As UDM, we note the presentation as presented by the Honorable MEC. And sifuna ukuthi ngaxeshanye, Honorable Speaker, isimo esi sapha eMthatha sinegalelo elikhulu in terms of ukungahlalisi kakuhle abantu ngokwemeko yozinzo. Singavuya kakhulu into yoba ingathabathelwa ingqalelo lento ngoba abantu baphetha bengakwazi ukuhlala ezindaweni ezizezabo abazakhele ngokunoko kwabo. Kodwa ke asipheleli apho, Honorable Speaker. Sifuna uqonda into yoba njengoba epresentile ke Honorable MEC, ikhona na the another initiative ethetha okanye umzekelo ngalento ye process yoba ku-establishwe the investigation committee, so that us is confined only kuphela kwezi zinto sizibonayo, sidlulela nakwezinye singaziboniyo, so that xa esithi ufuna usiphula yonke lanto yenzeka pha nengcambu zayo akwazi ukuthi ayisiphule based kwi-investigation. Bendisithi ke sivela ngolo hlobo, Honorable Speaker. Enkosi.
My apologies. Thank you, Honorable Member. From the PA? No one? ATM? No one? Freedom Front Plus? Yes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. When you listen to the public,
they always blame the police force. When you talk to the police, they say the biggest problem in South Africa is the Department of Justice. If you look at the case of President Zuma, 20 years. Most of the time it's 1, 2, 3 years. Yeah? And the only solution is special courts. And why I'm saying this, there are so many retired judges, magistrates, prosecutors who are prepared to work part-time. That's what we need in South Africa to combat crime. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honourable Meng. Honourable from the ANC. The Chief Whip, Honourable.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. We just want to rise and appreciate the statement by Honourable MEC Ngata in as far as steps undertaken by his department and the provincial government working together with the national sphere in terms of combating crime in our province. I think we should really, all of us, appreciate that after calls have been made, there is a response in that regard, which we therefore would like to appreciate and further implore yourselves to up your game. I think the ANC is on record requesting that there be an increase in the law enforcement agency, heightening their efforts to combat the issue of crime and in this province. I think what has just been presented, it therefore calls on each and every one of us, because fortunately we all have constituency offices that we are deployed to, and we all hail from various constituencies where we need to be very much active at that space in ensuring that we assist the men in blue, so that it shouldn't just be a talk and a political grandstanding here. Issue of crime knows no boundaries. We all have to come together, work and address this sketch. So we just want to therefore say all the efforts, all the ideas around specialized criminal courts, just like it was the case during World Cup, so that we deal decisively with all the criminal elements in the province. We have heard yesterday that Eastern Cape also is a hiding place for criminals. They come and hide dangerous weapons in the province to be used in other provinces, and this one included. We therefore calling on you, Honourable Ngata, to increase your crime intelligence units. The issue to request soldiers to come and be part of us in assisting. We know your reservations with the ministers, and we've had the minister and the Deputy Minister of Defence trying to be giving clarity on this matter, but we still maintain every other effort must be explored so that we are all found and seen to be really tackling the issue of crime as it really continues to haunt our citizens in the province, especially the rural poor, where they wouldn't live in peace and harmony, enjoying their freedom, whilst we are there as leadership. So thank you very much, Speaker. We appreciate the efforts done. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honourable Chief Whip. That concludes the executive member statements. I will now ask the Secretary to read for us the first order, but before we do that, please just note that the Multi-Party Whips Committee took the following decisions. 1, that the time for consideration of our reports for these plenaries have been reduced to only 73 minutes per report. Each chairperson, therefore, has been allocated 10 minutes to table their reports, and members of the Executive Council are also allocated 10 minutes to respond to the debate. The time allocated for questions of clarity to the committee and or the members of the Executive Council is 5 minutes each. The time of the three major parties, ANC, DA and the EFF, has been reduced as indicated on the Speaker's list. This is the resolution of the Multi-Party Whips Committee. I will now ask the Secretary to read the first order of the day.
Consideration of vote number 1, Office of the Premier, Appropriation Bill 2024.
Honorable Saziwa. Your 10 minutes starts now.
Honorable Speaker, Honorable Chief Whip, leaders of political parties represented in the House, all members of the Legislature, the Premier and members of the Executive Council, and all support staff as well as HODs of various departments.
Honorable Saziwa, my apologies. Can you just sit down for a minute, please? Perhaps this is my mistake. I did not inform members. Due to the adjustments in the House, it would be no longer be feasible for members to move and to sit where the committee members are sitting, because now that portion, that side is allocated for the departmental heads. My apologies, Honorable Knutse and Honorable Vena. I should have mentioned that. Yes, you will now be seated in the House. Our space have shrunk, and we. My apologies for that. Yeah, you may proceed, Honorable Saziwa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The preamble to the report is as follows, Honorable Speaker. The report has complied with Rule 73, Sub-Rule 3 of our standing rules, and that we submitted it within 2 days to all members. And again, that there are no issues in terms of Rule 74, as all members have supported the report. And therefore, the expectation is that as speakers debate from various parties, they will speak in defense of their own report. Because of time constraints, Honorable Speaker, we won't read every aspect of the report. The report is found from page 71 to 82. We'll read findings and won't read, recommendations. When we have not read findings, we won't therefore read recommendations. On page 72, on finding A in terms of Program 1, the total budget of the department is in the year under review has decreased by 11.98% from 1.2 billion rands to 1.689 billion, mainly due to the decreased allocation to the small town revitalization program. Our recommendation in this regard, as we're taking the report to have been read and tabled in terms of other findings, is as follows. The Provincial Treasurer must consider increasing the budget for the OTP for effective service delivery and must provide the committee with a report on what they have put into consideration in determining this allocation for this department. Program 2. We'll read, we table all the findings as they appear, and we'll only read the recommendations B and D. The Office of the Premier must consider including projects related to hospitality and tourism sector to attract young people. D, the Office of the Premier must fast-track the development of the tools for the performance of agreements for the MECs, heads of departments, and CEOs of state-owned enterprises before the end of the third quarter of this financial year. Program 3 will only read 4 findings, finding B, D, F, and H. For the 2023-2024 financial year, there were 14 towns for the small town revitalization program, whereas in the 2024-2025 financial year, there are 16 towns, yet the budget for the program has decreased. D,
There seems to be poor tracking and monitoring of projects that are funded by Isikalo Youth Fund. F, the OTP has not yet established the gender-based violence and femicide council in the province. H, during the presentation of the small town revitalization program, the OTP did not recognize the use of new gazetted name changes of towns by the provincial government. For example, they talked about Mount Elif instead of Emaklesibini, Mount Fletcher instead of Tlokeng. We table the recommendations in this regard. Program 4, we only read findings B, C, and D. Finding B, the problems of the medical legal claims are an ongoing and have a negative effect on the Department of Health's budget. C, the provincial government's pace on clearing the backlog case on pillar and ill health retirement is very slow due to old legislation that are delaying the process. D, out of 2,700 sites that were to be connected during the 2023-2024 budget, only 1,032 were connected, and some of the connected sites could not be maintained, and there are some outstanding invoices that could not be paid due to financial constraints. We'd like, therefore, to read the recommendations as well. The Office of the Premier, Department of Treasury, and Department of Health must work together and develop a strategy to resolve medical legal claims. C, the provincial government must fast track in resolving the pillar and ill health retirement cases and ensure that all legislation that is delaying the process is repealed within this financial year. The OTP broadband must ensure that 1,668 sites that are to be budgeted, to that the unmaintained sites out of the 1,032 sites are maintained, and that the outstanding invoices for 2023-2024 are paid in this financial year. On EXEC, we want to note that in terms of...
Honourable Member, you have 2 minutes remaining.
Thank you. We want to table the findings and the recommendations for EXEC, and we also want to table general findings and recommendations, and we'd like to thank the Office of the Premier, the Acting Premier, and the Premier that is here, the staff of the Office of the Premier through the DG, our support staff, so we table the report for the consideration by this House. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you so much, Honourable Saziwa. Are there any clarities by the committee members? None. Clarities for the Premier? Yes, Honourable Kasim.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Honourable Speaker, I'd like to ask the Premier on 2 different items. One is on the recently uncovered fraud or fictitious medical legal claims. Whether any action has been taken in this respect? Are there criminal charges that are being laid? Are there any plans to take action in this respect? Perhaps the Premier can just bring us into confidence as to what will actually be done about this. And then in terms of the Oceans Economy Master Plan, has that plan been finalized for the province? And if not, what is the timelines that one can expect for the Oceans Economy Master Plan? Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Kasim. Honourable Premier.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker. Thanks to Honourable Kasim. Quickly, Honourable Speaker, the issue that has been out there in the recent past is not a new thing on the medical legal challenges. We've been working on that. We had collaboration with SIU for some couple of years in attending to that. We set up a specialized unit to deal with that. So all these issues that appear to be new, they were exposed by that process. Your Nongoba case and others, we've opened up those cases working in collaboration with the SIU. So it's a work in progress that we've been dealing with. That's why we were able to contain this problem of medical legal in the province in particular. It's a concerted effort that the Office of the Premier has set up in the last few years to ensure that we are able to confront that issue head on. The second one on the oceans economy, the plan is there. We are working on the implementation plan of that master plan. We did the master plan with the Nelson Mandela University. It is there. It is a detailed plan that also covers the whole 800-kilometer coastline of the province, areas of focus. We are now working out the implementation plan, trying to mobilize all other critical stakeholders in the sector, but as well as the private sector to be on board. That's why we are saying you can't have more than 5 species of fish that are only found in the Eastern Cape, but Eastern Cape is not involved in that. All the fishing that you see out there by commercial fishing companies, it is processed elsewhere. Others are fishing here, getting those species straight for the export market. Eastern Cape must be at the center of that. We must reclaim that space. I've written to the Minister of Environmental Affairs in the 6th term requesting devolution of some powers as the Constitution allows, so that as a province, we can be able to handle that issue ourselves and make sure that we run with speed to really use that as a niche that can really impact on socio-economic outlook of the province. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Honourable Premier. I now call upon Honourable Dr. Knutzer from the DA. Your 9 minutes starts now, Honourable Member.
Good morning, Honourable Speaker, Honourable Premier, members, guests. Honourable Speaker, it's with a great sense of urgency that I stand here today, but also I'm seeing this as an opportunity. The consideration of the budget vote presents an opportunity for all of us to engage not only on the challenges that we face in the Eastern Cape, but also on the collective aspirations, the shared vision, and the ideals that we have for the people of this province. This is a platform for us to decide how we can achieve those things. And as we navigate through the intricacies of governance and public service, it is very important for us to consider the findings and the recommendations of the reports that will be tabled here, not just of OTP, but of every single department. Honourable Speaker, today, in terms of the Office of the Premier, I will be focusing on only 4 areas. The first will be the overarching one, which is the economy of the Eastern Cape. Secondly, the Premier's Infrastructure Coordinating Committee. Thirdly, the oceans economy. And then lastly, the coordination of the medico-legal claims by the Office of the Premier. So, firstly, Honourable Speaker, one of the most important frontiers that we will have to face collectively as members of the 7th administration of the provincial legislature is to find solutions to the challenges that we face in terms of our economy in this province. As we all already know, we are in a technical recession currently. Because of the exec report has indicated that we had 3 consecutive quarters of negative growth in the province. It also shows that there are now 700,000 more people living in the Eastern Cape than lived here in 2013, which was only 11 years ago. But it also shows that the expanded unemployment rate has risen to 49.1%, which is extremely concerning. The other thing that is very concerning is the fact that poverty and the levels of poverty in our province has risen by 7%. And that is extremely concerning. In the face of this adversity, we must harness our collective strengths. We have endless opportunities in the Eastern Cape. The province is rich in resources. We have 3 ports. I think that that is the most of any province. An abundance of agricultural opportunities and a vibrant tourism potential in this province. And as the Premier mentioned in the SOPA speech, agriculture for this province can be a game changer. And I think something that we all have to monitor, not just in that department, is the development of the 100 of the 262 farms, the cannabis value chain, the opportunities that it presents, as well as the enormous tourism potential of the Eastern Cape. It is for this reason that we reiterate the Premier's commitment to an export-led growth agenda, and reinforced by the Economic Summit, which the DA has suggested to the Premier. I go and look in my mailbox every day to see if my invite is there. So far it hasn't been, but I remain hopeful that one day I will open it and it will be there. It is essential to acknowledge that intentions must transform into tangible actions. We have to get to a place where we are not only discussing the possible solutions to the challenges that we face, but we need to get to a point in the 7th administration where we can look at the successes that we have and the tangible actions that we have been able to garner from our collective efforts. A failure to deliver services and create an environment conducive to sustainable socio-economic growth is currently eroding public trust. And without public trust, it will be very, very difficult for us to make meaningful progress in the Eastern Cape. This is where we as the DA stand ready to work alongside you to assist. I believe everyone in this House has become cognizant of the overall reality that we must find innovative ways to consolidate the work of government. The primary findings, Honourable Speaker, in this report is the pressing need to enhance communication, firstly, and then to align our budgetary priorities in that document. We must outline actionable steps, we must have timelines, and we must have strategies in place to ensure that the commitment that we made to trade vision translates into much needed economic opportunity and growth, as well as job creation. It is imperative that Provincial Treasury allocates the budget for effective service delivery, as well as that we ensure congruence with the procurement frameworks to bolster local economic development. Honourable Speaker, I want to just spend some time on the link between investment in infrastructure and economic growth. And I know that there is a link because I proved it in my hypothesis when I did my master's thesis a couple of years ago in 2012. There is a definite link between infrastructure investment and economic growth.
Honourable Member, you have 2 minutes remaining.
Thank you. Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And that is something we have to focus on in terms of the Premier's Infrastructure Coordinating Committee. The other aspect that we absolutely have to focus on is the opportunities that the oceans economy will bring to this province. As I has previously mentioned, we have 3 ports in this province, and there's a great deal of progress that we can make in terms of the oceans economy. In terms of medico-legal claims, I believe it is still our greatest challenge of the 7th administration, and it will remain a challenge unless we effectively address the lack of resources and medicine in our health department. If we don't, those claims will just keep coming. Colleagues, the issues that I've mentioned here, whether it's the economy, whether it is the opportunities of the oceans economy, whether it's medico-legal claims or infrastructure coordination. The way that we deal with these issues will be the hallmark that we leave as the 7th administration in this province. Let's make sure that we always do our best for the people of this province. Let's do right by them. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Knutse. I call upon Honourable Vena from the EFF. Your 5 minutes starts now, Honourable Member.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Greetings to yourself, the Premier, and the honourable members here, especially those that are led by the DC of the province in the red overalls. The last time we took this very podium here, Speaker, we have clearly explained our role that we will play in this 7th administration as a necessary opposition so that your government may not sleep on the job, but rather at all given time be on par with the issues affecting our people on the ground. Given that the Office of the Premier has a constitutional duty to coordinate provincial government, and seeing that its span on responsibility is extended on year-on-year basis, we harbor a level of unease at the 11% decrease in budget in the OTP's budget for 2024-2025 financial year. In fact, when considering the consolidated provincial government budget, we have noted that all departments have allocated increase budget, with the exception of transport and considerable 11% decrease on OTP budget. We wish to state it on record in this platform that we are not supporting the budget on the following basis. Your office came to the portfolio committee very disorganized and not ready to persuade members of the committee. And they were very disorganized, and that is why you will find the findings under findings D under program 1, hence the recommendation D, which says the OTP must ensure that all documents are quality assured and financially and performance statement are correct. Number two, with all these trips that you've been taking, Honorable Premier, in the name of mobilizing investors to address joblessness, has not yielded any tangible results. Even that grand landing of Ebulimbo, of the so-called investor, has never assisted anything. But your office has only drawn our attention to an EPWP opportunities to address joblessness among young people. Thirdly, on the issue of the third part that makes us not to support this budget, the question on broadband projects, especially in the rural areas, we had hope that these connections would alleviate inefficiencies in our public institution, but it seems that all the bulk of connection has benefited the urban areas. Even those that when we go to Nelson Mandela Central, the clinic in Central, that broadband that is connected there is not working. The fourth thing that makes us not to support is the Scalo Youth Fund, which on our view, we have not got any accountability about Who are these beneficiaries and how far is their projects in terms of what we intended to do? It seems like we have just thrown money and there is no accountability. That is why we stand here firmly and say, among other things, these 4 are topping the reasons why we are not supporting your budget. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Vena. From the UDM, Honorable Zinti. Your 3 minutes starts now.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. UDM welcomes the report, but it is embarrassing as the leaders of this province that we do not have gender-based violence and femicide council in the province. According to Stats SA, 1 in 5 women in relationships has experienced physical violence by a partner, and South Africa is among the highest in the world. Honorable Premier, the UDM is proposing that in Tutuzela centers should be more social workers and religious practitioners to be employed so that they provide counseling to victims and families. In our countries, perpetrators are having more rights and privileges than victims. A case at Mthatha Regional Court where a 5-year-old girl child was interrogated by a lawyer for more than 5 hours. A perpetrator provided a lawyer by government. The SAPS must have special units to deal with rape and GBV cases where they will report their cases than to report in public police stations. We need to ask ourselves why government introduced in 2019 district development model. But today we're still talking about poor coordination after 4 years. Maybe, Honorable Speaker, I must remind this House that DDM is an innovative platform that will tackle poor coordination of service delivery in all spheres of government. There are key words in this mandate: innovative platform and to tackle poor coordination. The UDM supports the idea of DDM, but the Office of the Premier needs to strengthen IGR. If IGR is functional, there will be efficiency and effectiveness of district development model. Lastly, there are key stakeholders that we need to involve in ensuring that the stability and development in our province, like traditional leaders and business sectors and religious leaders. Kodwa, Honorable Premier, mayikhaleziswe yenziwe le council ye-GBV and femicide. Siyaphela nini madoda. UDM commends the work of the Abathembu King, Azweli Banzi, Buyele Khaya, Dalindyebo, to stood up and fight against protection fee in Mthatha West. He showed patriotism and good leadership.
Your time is up, Honourable Member.
UDM salutes him with his
Your time
braveness.
is up, Honourable Member. Can you conclude?
Thank you.
Conclude, Honourable Member. Just conclude.
Okay.
Just conclude.
Okay. Honorable Premier, SAPS provincial offices and you have failed to stop these criminal activities in Gqeberha and Mthatha.
Thank you, Honourable Member. I thought you would just conclude by either adopting or rejecting the report.
Ndobana emkhosini kuphethe thina and isandafu izodeploywa ngokuthanda kwethu.
Thank you, Honourable Member. My apologies. I know it's very difficult with only 3 minutes. We now call upon the ANC, Honourable Mtwabo. Your 14 minutes starts now.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Allow me to take this opportunity to greet the Honourable Premier, Siyakwamkela Mhlekazi Beck, his Executive Council, members of the Provincial Legislature, government officials and guests in all areas of the province. As we welcome and support the budget vote report tabled by Chairperson Honourable Saziwa, allow us to express our collective appreciation of the robust and yet cordial manner in which we conducted our business as a portfolio committee which culminated into the report that the chairperson has presented. The road ahead is long and winding. There will be false starts and setbacks, but I'm confident that we will finish this term as a robust and debating committee. On the same breath, Honourable Speaker, we must pay homage as part of the Heritage Month celebrations to the late Comrade Steve Bantu Biko, whose 47th anniversary will be celebrated on the 12th of September, 2 days to come. A gallant freedom fighter who imbued the masses with a sense of pride and self-consciousness during trying and difficult times of the struggle for the freedom and emancipation. May his revolutionary and undying spirit continue to guide the current and future generations as they traverse the complexions of living in the modern society. However, Honourable Speaker, with the resources at the disposal of this department, limited as they may be, we are confident that it stands a great chance of achieving the targets that it has set for itself, including clean audit outcomes in this financial year, Honourable Premier. We may not be auditing experts, but from our point of view, positive audit outcomes and performance targets achievements are normally mutually exclusive. Informed by this, we insist on the achievement of performance targets without negating clean audit outcomes throughout the provincial administration and this legislature. Honourable Speaker, the economic fortunes of this country and the Eastern Cape province has been less than favourable in the term that we are closing. These were compounded by the COVID-19 pandemic and July 2021 unrest, which put a spanner in the wheels of our economic development and upward trajectory. We note and applaud the resilience of the government and our economy in withstanding those trying times with fortitude and determination. The economic investment, employment and infrastructure development cluster has an onerous duty of picking up the cuttles and forge ahead in pursuit of economic development and prosperity. We are happy that the Executive Council, by extension the provincial government, had identified agriculture as a niche area and a game changer. The need to push back the frontiers of poverty require a speedy rate of commercialization and industrialization of our agricultural programs and projects. In a fast-moving and globalizing world, we can ill afford to rely on subsistence and cottage farming activities, whilst the masses of our people go to bed hungry and miserable. We must therefore support government efforts aiming at commercializing agricultural farms with a view of ensuring food security and redress. We are keenly following the development of cannabis industry in the province and will always stand with the indigenous growers who for years have been persecuted and lost their lives as a result. We affirm in our view that active economic participation of the people cannot be and must not be delayed in favor of the exigencies of the day. Land reform and redress is a must and must be supported by all of us if we are to build a prosperous and united South Africa. We are convinced, Honourable Speaker, we are convinced of that, Honourable Speaker. We encourage the beneficiaries of land reform programs not to fall into the trap of get-rich-quick syndrome, but must utilize the support provided by government to take their farming projects to new and higher and greater heights. Agricultural development and prosperity must of necessity be undergirded by thoroughgoing government support and reinforcement. The establishment of veterinary school in the province will come in handy as veterinary services are playing a crucial role, particularly in our rural localities. As part of industrialization, the special economic zone as targeted economic growth areas must continue to assist the government in fighting the triple challenges that we are facing as the country and the province. The commercial agriculture must play a pivotal role in assisting the youth of our province in acquiring the much-needed agro-processing skills desired by the agri-economy. We hope that the people operating in the oceans economy space will and must be inspired to do the same, especially as it relates to the entirety of the designated groups, including our military veterans. The off-take agreements for SMMEs are a noble cause which must not be hijacked by scrupulous beings in the forms of extortions and mafia fiefdoms. If anything, South Africans voted for a peaceful and a stable government, and as such, we are not going to allow our hard-won freedom to be reduced into a lawless and chaos republic. That we will not and cannot accept. I was happy to see the other day the Department of Infrastructure and Human Settlement hosting a colloquium in construction-built environment for women in Gqeberha. We are in agreement with the department that women must not back down in the construction value chain out of fear of the entrenched patriarchal tendencies and extortionists. This calls for our policy regime to be reviewed at regular intervals so as to ensure that an enabling environment for women to thrive is created in all the sectors of economy. The industry, energy sector of the economy has a serious potential to provide economic opportunities to the people of the province, particularly young women and men. This we are saying because the future of the province and the country lies squarely on the shoulders of current generation, of which Ukransky said they must either fulfill or betray their generational mission. As it is, we are called upon to support the youth of South Africa to achieve their generational mission as was foretold. And in this, we must not waver or falter. We must support the government efforts of creating a renewable energy, green hydrogen, oil and gas energy regime so that our economy could find its footing. Social facilitation as part of government efforts to bring about collective growth and development must be enhanced. Honorable Speaker, as we say, together we can do more. We must be that must be a critical pillar that drives our development and growth as the people of the Eastern Cape Province. Rural and urban development as it relates to small town revitalization program, the informal economy, tourism, municipal functionality and viability is a matter that we are putting a serious consideration as the African National Congress, amongst others. The government, the private sector and all South Africans must endeavor to be in charge of their economy and thus their destination. The government has elaborated numerous policies that safeguard this noble principle, and we must all adhere to them at all times. Without overall participation of the citizens of the province, social strife and resentment is sure to set in. It therefore goes without saying that the local municipalities in regulating the informal economy must utilize the policy regime or framework that is at their disposal. And added to this, Honourable Speaker, municipalities as delivery arm of government have a much larger role to play in the realization of our national development goals. District, metro, and local municipalities must know that the time for internal bickering at the expense of social delivering has come and gone. Consequently, we call upon the Premier to utilize EIGR fora to shape and sharpen this level of government. You will remember, Honorable Premier, the past elections was more based on what happens at local level than at other levels of government. So our failure or success depends on its efficiency and effectiveness, honorable members. The medical legal claims remain a discomforting stain in our healthcare system environment. As the ANC, we are of the view that we shall always be informed by the judicial outcomes in this area. As such, we are relatively happy with the way in which the Executive Council is handling that matter. We also note and hail the advent of the National Health Insurance Act, which seeks to galvanize the two health sectors to be in the service of the country based on our health priorities. The Freedom Charter wants us to be there. As part of building our economy, we must pay a particular attention to the informal economy that continues to suffer serious setbacks in almost all localities. We are quite concerned about the substandard services rendered by this sector to our people. This is a sector that is, if we are aggressive about economic emancipation, we must be deliberate about. The role of Eastern Cape Development Corporation must continue to find a footprint in this matter. Yes, indeed, Honorable Speaker, all the state-owned entities...
Honourable Member, you have 2 minutes remaining.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. All the state-owned entities have been hard at work to realize the government-stated development goals and objectives. Their professional and ethical conducts are commendable and appreciable. Honourable Speaker, the departments that are facing deep-seated challenges in the form of health and education requires all of us to help them out of that situation. Mandivale ke somlomo ngelithi kwisebe eli sithetha ngalo namhlanje lenkulu baphathiswa ephondo amasabeke elangeni umphokoqo unexhala isiXhosa sithi amaqobokazana ngalale ndlekeleni kunyembelekile. Honourable Speaker, the African National Congress supports the vote of the Office of the Premier and the report presented by the chairperson of the committee. I thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. We call upon the Premier, Honourable Mabiane. Your 10 minutes. We're waiting for you to open your...
Thank you. The 10 minutes.
Your 10 minutes starts now.
Thank you very much. Honourable Speaker and the House at large, good morning. Let me take this opportunity to express my appreciation for the report prepared by the respective committees for the OTP and special programs. Before I comment on the report, Honourable Speaker, let me thank you for warm welcome back in our beautiful province. We do really appreciate that after a week-long trip to China, which I think has done a lot because we've been engaging business, government on agriculture, energy, e-commerce, tourism, nature conservation, EV value chain, artificial intelligence, efficiency of industrial parks, and people-to-people relations. Honourable Speaker, as you are aware that our province is anchored on automotive sector. During this visit, we engaged 2 automotive companies that would like to explore possibilities of investing in our province. Those companies are Golden Dragon and China City Industrial Group. Golden Dragon has already developed an MOU with local partners, SIGA and Santaco, to develop a cost-effective minibus for the South African taxi industry. La factory bikade ike kayekani phaya East London IDZ, which was left by Yegani. It will now be occupied by this group. They will be setting up very soon in the East London IDZ. You must get spectacles and go and visit so that you can see things that are happening. Additionally, we signed an MOU with the China City Industry. The company is partnering with a local South African company to establish an assembly facility in the East London IDZ, as I've said. Also, we visited with President joining the FOCAC delegation, the BYD, the biggest company in China, that is also in the car sector. And the company itself, we've been talking to it over the last year or so. They are very much keen. We are working on all the incentive packages with the national led by DTIC. So that's work that we've been doing to ensure that we get as much OEMs as possible into our province to continue not just only assembling, but also manufacturing from our province. Honorable Speaker, I'm also saddened to learn about the passing of the praise poet, Dr. Bishop Jessica Mbangeni. Through her poetic words in isiXhosa, Ms. Mbangeni reminded us of the richness of our indigenous language and the importance of preserving it and celebrating our languages. She has left an indelible mark on cultural heritage. May her soul rest in peace. Siyafuna ukuthi kwekhaya lakhe nxe kusapho lonke akuhlanga lungehlanga. Honorable Speaker, the debate that has ensued on the report by members of the House is always enriching, and we have certainly taken note of all inputs honorable members have made. I thought there will be one honorable member to appreciate how easy to come to Bishop from East London. Unfortunately, I think honorable members are not at that point to appreciate good things that are happening in front of their eyes. But I hope that with time, honorable members will also appreciate moving forward. So, budget cuts affect all spheres of government. I want to highlight that point in South Africa for now because of the fiscal consolidation policy we have adopted. That is why when we presented our policy statement, I said the OTP will embrace the challenge of doing more with less. We are going to be more innovative in thinking and being prudent in managing our financial resources. We acknowledge the recommendation made by the Portfolio Committee, and we are taking them quite serious, and we also acknowledge the erroneous mistakes we made on submitting incorrect financial and performance statements. That is going to be corrected, and I will make sure, and I don't want this thing of building systems around individual. Now that people are saying, when we were not here, things like this, and we were not good. I don't believe so. I think the team in OTP is quite intact and quite solid to perform its task. The remarks of the Portfolio Committee on Program 2, which is provincial planning and performance monitoring and evaluation, are profound. The success of the Eastern Cape provincial administration depends on the sound planning, monitoring, and evaluation. Therefore, the budget for Program 2 is equitably distributed to ensure transversal functions of policy coordination, planning, monitoring, reporting, as well as evaluations are adequately supported. To ensure the realization of EXEC's mandate and objectives, the program facilitated the development of EXEC legislation. This process is at an advanced stage in preparation for the legislation to come into effect by 1st of April 2025. I take your point, Honorable Dr. Nunzi. I've explained in the answer that I was doing to you that we've been working on this economic summit that we are proposing. We believe that it should be actually more anchored on bottom-up approach. We started with roundtable discussion at a sectoral level. We will definitely invite you when we get to that point. We've been working on that. At a point when we were proposing, we were already advanced with the work that we're doing. At least we're advanced in terms of thinking along those lines. But we appreciate the inputs, and you will also be invited. We noted the recommendation of the Portfolio Committee on the good work the province is doing on the expanded public works program. EPWP is indeed a necessary mechanism to address unemployment and make those interventions to push back frontiers of poverty. In the opening address of the 7th Legislature, we announced that we are repurposing all the public employment programs, including EPWP, so that they serve the people. We are hard at work on that. The remarks of the Portfolio Committee for the OTP to ensure that some all infrastructure projects earmarked for the province are unblocked and fully implemented are noted. This is the reason why we have set up a PPSU as well as PICC to make sure that no money is returned on all the money allocated and no money is returned. So we are dealing with that issue in improving our capacity to make sure that we support government departments to spend their money, particularly the conditional grants and infrastructure budget. Already the teams have ensured agility in the implementation of several projects. Whether it's Weli Sizwe Bridges program, you would understand the support that has been given there. Honourable members, the current subdued fiscal environment in the country is not permanent. We will overcome it and add more resources to programs such as the STR. I've already instructed the DG that let's package all the rural town villages into the BFI and make a submission to Treasury so that we get more money. Good work that we've done to facilitate these village towns has actually yielded in positive dividends, seeing a lot of investment in retail going into those small towns. So we want to package it at more than 3 billion, make a submission with National Treasury as part of infrastructure, get all these towns being improved across the infrastructural challenges they are experiencing. So that work is being handled. They will be working with all critical stakeholders around that particular program. Somlomo, portfolio committee.
Honourable Premier, you are left with 2 minutes. Thank you.
Okay. We do note all the recommendations that the members have made, particularly around the Gender-Based Violence and Femicide Council. Champions but I can assure you that this one will be up and running before the end of the financial year. Ndiyafuna ukuthi ke liyashayibhayi kuzo zonke izigilamkhuba njengoba uMS Nqatha besitsho akukho ndawo yokuzifihla amapolice asegroundini all reinforcement has been made, special teams are on the ground, combat teams, investigators, so we'll be exposing all the lies out there. We must seek the truth from facts and ensure that whoever says things out there in the public, all those people are held very much accountable. Let me close, Honourable Speaker, Deputy Speaker, by commenting on the matter of the DDM coordination, because it is an important vehicle to ensure seamless planning across the spheres. It is a mechanism that can help implement projects in our communities better and faster for greater impact. This week on Friday, Thursday and Friday, we're having a PIF where we'll be able to improve all these systems that we're strengthening to ensure that our government works seamlessly. Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Premier. Honourable members, I put the report. Are there any objections?
No objection.
Thank you very much, honourable members.
We want to register that we reject it.
Kaume put. I will now ask the Secretary to read.
Order, Deputy Speaker. The Honourable Member. I don't know put work.
Okay, Honourable Member. I will now ask the Secretary to read the second order of the day.
Consideration of vote number 2, Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature, Appropriation Bill 2024.
Thank you. I'll now call upon Honourable Fihlani to deliver the report within 10 minutes, Honourable Fihlani. Your 10 minutes starts now.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Good morning, everyone. I'll try to do just that. Findings in partnership with in partnership with the Office of the Premier and Tabankulu local municipality, the legislature opened outside the Bishop Precinct for the first time. The residents of Tabankulu were very appreciative of the initiative, which also helped to create economic benefits for the local community. The handling of the preparations for the new members' entrance and their support has been inadequate. Challenges have marred the distribution of the working tools for members. The classification of members as staff must be reconsidered so that programs and funding meant for members do not compete with the interests of the staff. Except for payroll management, which is the only unfinished module, the ERP project is getting closer to completion. The legislature has embarked on the re-engineering process. There are infrastructural challenges relating to the realization of the legislature as a national key point. The committee is concerned with the contract management within the institution wherein service providers are not paid within 30 days at times, resulting in services not being provided due to late payment. There will be budget shortfalls because the legislature has not received any allocation of the 9 additional members except for their salaries, which is a direct charge. The committee knows with concern the misalignment of the operational plan and the annual performance plan. Some of the legislature's advertisements are reserved for internal candidates, preventing people outside the legislature to apply for the positions, which is against the national prescripts and policies. There are no recreational facilities to manage physical and mental well-being of members. Let me say sport. And I'm trying to just start to finding, so if I don't have time. Then on program 2, we said the decrease in the allocation for this program is a concern in the backdrop of 9 additional members to the legislature and necessary support that is required for them. The continuing decrease of allocation for this program over the MTF is concerning. There are still members who have not been allocated houses even at this time. Their transitional measures, the transitional arrangements for the exit and entrance of members for the 6th to the 7th term have been at a slow pace in some areas. I'm going to rush to program 3, Deputy Speaker. Then the legislature has reconfigured some of its portfolio committees. The legislature is going to introduce mini plenary sessions where departments will present in committee meetings. The Budget and Money Bills Committee has begun its work, and it will have an impact on the timeline of the legislature and the internal budget processes. There is a lack of translation services for activities outside the legislature. On the general findings, Honourable Deputy Speaker, we've said that the committee is concerned about the impact of the recent fiscal consolidation on the program 2, the allocation of funds solely for the salaries of the 9 extra members raises concern as it would impact the necessary assistance for those members. The legislature building is not accessible to the people with physical disabilities. Because of the information dissemination, members of the public are at times unaware of the legislature's day-to-day work. The last one is the declining budget for the MTF, even though there are additional members, is a concern. If I still have time, I'll go to the recommendation for those who do not have or those that are online, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Quickly on recommendations on program 1, the committee must receive a detailed report from the legislature on how to host similar events in various districts, outlining the associated costs. Then B, the legislature must address the outstanding issues affecting members' accommodation, office space, and working tools to submit the report to the committee. In regard, the committee urges management to provide prompt service within the stipulated timeframes. The committee must receive the report from the legislature outlining the plan to resolve the issues of distribution of the working tools. Legislatures must submit a report charting the plan for the reclassifying of members as staff. While noting the progress, the committee urges the legislature to expedite the final module's implementation on the ERP. The legislature must submit a report detailing the re-engineering process implementation. The legislature must submit a plan outlining how to raise the institution's safety and security to the status of the national key point. The legislature must adhere to the set norms and standards when dealing with the service providers' payments and submit a report on how this will be achieved. The legislature must submit a report on how to mitigate the budget shortfalls. The legislature must, within 7 days of the adoption of this report, ratify the misalignment on the operational plan and the annual performance plan. Within 30 days of the adoption of this report, the legislature must submit a plan explaining how to end the practice of reserving jobs for the internal candidates. Legislature must submit a report on how the lack of recreational facilities will be addressed. Then on the program 2, the legislature must submit a report to devise a strategy to address this sub-program's shortcomings. The Honorable Speaker, as a treasurer of the legislature, must engage the MEC for Finance on the need to positively respond to this matter. MEC of Finance, through you, Deputy Speaker. Within 7 days of the adoption of this report, the legislature must allocate houses to members. Within 30 days of the adoption of this report, the legislature, in collaboration with Public Works, must submit a report that addresses the outstanding transitional arrangements. All reports to be submitted within 30 days, as we have said in this program. Then on the recommendation for program 3, the legislature must submit the report detailing how the reconfiguration of the committees will impact on its operations and identify where there are potential savings. The legislature is observing the introduction of the mini plenaries and requires the legislature to submit a report detailing its implementation plan. Within 30 days of the adoption of this report, the legislature must submit on a report on how the budget and money bills committee's work affects the legislature operations. The legislature must provide a report on how the translation services will be improved when we are outside the legislature precinct. On the general findings, Deputy Speaker, if I still have time, we said the legislature must submit a report on how it plans to remedy the situation, and also the legislature must engage with the MEC of Finance on the need to reprioritize funding for the interests of the members. The legislature must collaborate with the Department of Public Works on how to make legislature building accessible to the people with physical disabilities.
Honourable Member, you have 2 minutes left.
Within 30 days of this report, within 30 days on the adoption of this report, the legislature should develop and submit a detailed plan on how to publicize the institution's work using various mediums. The legislature needs to engage with Treasury to advocate for increased funding and separate budgeting for the members as a distinct government. Within 30 days of adoption, they must also submit a report to the committee about the progress on this regard. Honourable Deputy Speaker, we welcome the work that we work with the Honourable Speaker, the management, and the support of the committee and the members at large. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Fihlani. That was the report of the Legislature Oversight Committee. Are there any clarities for committee members? All right. Okay, I've noted all three of you, honourable members. I will allocate 5 minutes for your questions as well as the responses. I'll start with you, Honourable Cowley.
I apologize, Honourable Deputy Speaker. My question is for the Speaker. Thank you.
All right. Honourable Kruger.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, can the committee chairperson please provide us with a full breakdown of the costs of the opening of the legislature that was held in Tabankulu in comparison to what the cost would have been had the opening of the legislature taken place in the Bishu precinct? Thank you.
Honourable Fig.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Can the Chairperson just explain what cost-contained measures are being implemented, measures being put in place, if any, for the administration of the legislature? Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I think those were the only two that were directed to the committee. Are you going to respond, Honourable Fihlani?
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Referring to Honourable Kruger, I think the institution really provided the costs within the committee, but for now we did not put that. They provided the costs of what happened in Tabankulu and those that are shared with the Office of the Premier. But in front of me, I do not have that, but we can finish that with the member at a later stage. I did not hear properly Honorable May, but I think, Dr. Fig, sorry, Dr. Fig. Was it Dr. Yeah, Dr. Fig. I don't know, but I think it was talking about issues of the containment, or cost containment measures. I think Honorable Speaker would take that issue, also take that issue on the areas, but they really said we must submit areas where there are cost containment measures within the institution itself. I think on the submissions that we got, but unfortunately, in front of, because that's why we did not even touch on those matters, because there's something that they submitted after the committee has met. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Fihlani. Are there any clarities for the Speaker now? Maybe I'll allow Honorable Cowley to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Mine is very brief, Honourable Speaker. Just with reference to the re-engineering process, what are the timelines pertaining to that process? When did it start? How long is it going to continue for, and when will it be concluded? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Cowley. Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. I will respond when I deal with the debate.
All right. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I'll then allow Honorable Kasim to come in front and for debate. I will allocate 9 minutes to you, Honorable Kasim. Thank you. And it starts now.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and to the Honourable Chairperson for the report that has been delivered. Honourable Speaker, Premier, members of the Executive and Legislature, and esteemed guests and citizens of the Eastern Cape, as we gather to discuss the budget votes, it is crucial that we remain mindful of the profound responsibility on our shoulders. We have a collective duty to ensure that the economic resources of this province are utilized in the most efficient, transparent, and productive manner. This gathering also embodies the spirit of cooperative governance, which resonates with the Democratic Alliance's commitment to honor the spirit of the Government of National Unity and to offer workable solutions and our expertise to bring our beautiful province to where it deserves to be. This requires us all to turn our actions towards the needs of our communities and not only build trust and accountability in this House, but also in the streets of our province. To honor these commitments in an ever-evolving political landscape, fiscal scrutiny and ensuring that resources are properly spent remains paramount. The report from the Portfolio Committee on the LOC has shed light on critical aspects of our operations. One of the critical shortcomings that the Legislature is facing is a dwindling of resources to fulfill its duties, especially with regards to oversight. And despite expanding the Legislature by 9 additional members, there has been no additional funding provided except to cover the salaries of these members. Now, currently, the Eastern Cape Provincial Government allocates a substantial amount of its budget to salaries and operational costs. And according to the analysis, when the additional members are included, compensation of employee budget has increased by 8.9%, in part due to the increased number of MPLs. We need to face the realities of the current economic climate in this province and be mindful that the current structure of the Legislature and the ever-inflating average salary has become unaffordable. Now, Honourable Deputy Speaker, when we scrutinize the documents of the Legislature, one will find the words fiscal consolidation used. But the problem is, when these two words are used, it is only used in certain parts of the document. It is not used consistently in the document. When these words are used, it is only used when it affects members of the House. It's not used in other parts of the legislature budget that affects the institution of the legislature. Now, this is quite telling, and I'm going to give you some examples. Program 2, which deals with members' facilities or the facilities that support or enable members, saw a 7.6% reduction in its budget for cost of employment and a 38% reduction in goods and services. And transfers and subsidies, whilst it increases slightly after reduction, there's actually a reduction over the MTEF. Similarly, in Program 3, that's Parliamentary Services, a program which sees an increase in its budget for cost of employment, sees a decrease in its budget for goods and services. And there's one particular item under Parliamentary Services that will be concerning for all members of this House. That is a 14% decrease for committee services. That's where the main business of the House actually takes place. This is primarily the reason, Deputy Speaker, that we don't have the ability of our committees to engage in the kind of international trips that have been done in previous terms because of the reduction in the budget that is going to committees. Now, when these reductions happen in the budget, the legislature says fiscal consolidation. But when increase to the inflated salaries within the institution, which are well above industry standards, we've seen the bulletins that have gone out or the vacancy notices that have gone out, well above industry standards in terms of remuneration packages, there is no mention of fiscal consolidation. Now, I understand that the re-engineering process is taking place and that this is a sensitive matter. The main nub of the issue, Honourable Deputy Speaker, if we do not deal with this issue, it will be a slow boil over time, where we as members will not have the resources necessary for us to effectively exercise our constitutional obligation of oversight over the executive. Honourable Deputy Speaker, whilst I acknowledge the necessity of having a dedicated workforce, we must also question whether this is an optimal allocation of resources, especially when it means that this money is taken away from a member's ability to conduct proper oversight in communities. And you recall, honourable members, that the Honourable Stevenson has been raising this year in, year out when oversight in the LOC budget. So this is not a new phenomenon. In the end, members of this House have a constitutional mandate, and we should be mindful of ensuring that we safeguard this and that it remains at the core of the decisions that we make as a House. Additionally, a more concerted effort should also be in place, ensuring that the workforce of the legislature is trained in all aspects of their daily duties, so that we ensure that we have a quality versus quantity approach. Honourable Deputy Speaker, this is not an attack on the officials that support our day-to-day work. We appreciate and we work very well with officials that support our work. And we do believe, however, that the re-engineering process is critical to ensuring that the right balance is struck in terms of supporting members. It is always important to keep in mind that the oversight we conduct here is not merely a matter of crunching the numbers. It directly translates to the quality of life for our citizens and the overall developmental growth in our province. We should analyse staffing patterns and ensure that our employment practices reflect the realities of effective support to our oversight and meaningful public participation mandate. As we usher in this 7th administration, we acknowledge that this is a transitional year with 9 new MPLs joining the legislature, and that this is a new term and we can truly approach things differently from how they have been done in the past.
Honourable Member, you are left with 2 minutes. Thank you.
Some welcome changes have been in the streamlining of committees to maximise participation and to make committees more efficient. Unfortunately, a working tool distribution to members and staff is an aspect of our operation that needs to be scrutinized further, as a myriad of challenges and delays have been identified. It is crucial that we get these basics right in the future, as these administrative delays take away from our core business, which is service delivery. Our tools of trades are instruments that empower us to serve the people of the Eastern Cape effectively. And I support the report highlighting the fact that the allocation of resources for administration, facilities and parliamentary services must be prioritized, particularly as they directly affect members. We are witnessing concerning trends where a decrease in allocation for vital services and working pool distribution challenges create situations that cannot prevail if we are serious about fulfilling this mandate. It is imperative, Honourable Deputy Speaker, that we address these gaps and make rectifications where we have been falling short. I therefore urge each and every member of this House to advocate for the correct budgetary allocations in this respect that empower the optimal functioning of the Legislature and members of the Legislature. Honourable Deputy Speaker, or Madam Speaker, through Honourable Deputy Speaker, transparency should be the cornerstone of our operation. And to this end, a comprehensive approach to administrative and budgetary oversight needs to be sensitive to the lived experience of the people in this province and firm in its commitment to fiscal prudence. We should be accountable to the citizens we serve, not only in terms of our outcomes, but also for how resources are allocated and utilized. Now, I want to remind members of the committee and members of the House that during the Legislature Oversight Committee handover report from the 6th term, it identified that rental and hiring of cars for Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature events outside of the institution and the hiring of tents during SOPA as two major cost drivers. We have still not received a full breakdown. We've received a globular amount for the opening of the Legislature, but the people of the province deserve full transparency in this respect. Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you. I will now call upon Honourable Kotoi. You have been allocated 5 minutes, Honourable Kotoi, and your 5 minute starts now.
Enkosi, Honourable Deputy Speaker, mandibulise kumalungu endloviso mthetho, kubantu base Eastern Cape, ingakumbi kubantwana bethongo ndithi kubo camagu. Honourable Deputy Speaker, as the EFF, we reject the budget vote. One of the goals of the Legislature is to link its strategic goals with its strategic objectives. A case in point is Strategic Goal 4 of the Legislature, which is to strengthen good governance for public affairs. In order to achieve this strategic goal, Strategic Objective 4.2 is to create an enabling environment through provision of strategic and technical support of members of the provincial legislature. This can enhance the abilities of the MPLs to realize their full potential and perform at an optimal level. The failure to provide some MPLs with their houses has resulted the legislature having to book the MPLs at B&Bs at a very high cost. This happens at a time when taxpayers are being asked to tighten their belts in line with the so-called austerity measures. Yet the legislature does the opposite when it comes to using taxpayers' money. Today, one of our MPLs, Honourable Aloni, was never told about the accommodation arrangements zakhe zokuza kule plenary. He ended up driving from home this morning esuka eKrisani eLady Frey kuThembeyi. Is that fair for him driving 2.5 hours eleka umsebenzi kusasa? We were sworn in on the 14th of June 2024. We are approaching the 3rd month by the 14th of September, but still hard to get parking spaces allocated for MPLs. Equally disturbing is that some still do not have fully functional working tools and even office space. This is likely to inhibit, if not adversely, affect the way in which the affected MPLs will perform their obligations. Honorable Deputy Speaker, the Eastern Cape Province is saddled with an unemployment rate that is around 41% and higher than the national unemployment average, that is 32.9%. The SMMEs can play a very important role in job creation and thus reduce unemployment massively. It is of great concern that the legislature, which should be leading by example when it comes to compliance with legislation,
2 minutes left,
is
Honourable
still failing
Member.
to pay service providers within 30 days period, as prescribed by the Public Finance Management Act. Honourable Deputy Speaker, the Eastern Cape needs every skilled worker to contribute towards the prosperity of the Eastern Cape. Persons with disability can make a positive contribution in the workplace. They can be as productive as co-workers, provided they are given the necessary support, assisted with devices. Honourable Deputy Speaker, going back to the failure seriously threatens the financial viability, but very existence and survival of the service providers or SMMEs. Some of them have to resort in loans in order to survive or pay its employees. This conduct of not complying with the PMFA does not reflect well on the image of the legislature and cannot be allowed to continue. In line with the often preached consequence management, there must be consequences for the accounting officers who are responsible for this failure. It is high time that this legal obligation of paying service providers within 30 days period form part of key performance areas of the performance contract of the accounting officers. Speaker or Deputy Speaker of the Eastern Cape, asizange ukudlala apha. Sithi ebantwini we are guided by the law, but i-legislature yona qala ayenzi what is expected from them, guided by the law. Asizange ukudlala abantu base-Eastern Cape bamlindele into yokuba sisebenze siyi-EFF asiyamkeli le vote ngoba kudala silapha akusanga silapha e-legislature ibisaziwa that this is the 7th administration.
Thank you,
akusanga
Honourable
silapha so
Member.
asiyamkeli le
Your
vote.
time
Thank you.
is up, Ngos. I now call upon Honourable Mkocho. Honourable Mkocho, you have been allocated 3 minutes, and your 3 minutes starts now. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Greetings to honourable members, Premier in absentia. As UDM, we welcome the report and we welcome the report as presented and appreciate the presentation. In terms of the report, we appreciate the idea of taking the legislature to the people for interaction with aims of establishing the people's problems. But that exercise, we are of a view that it must take center stage in attending and resolving people's problems. Honourable Deputy Speaker, our legislature must introduce transparency that will allow the space to direct participation of members in order for that to assist in reducing chances of preferential treatment, for the legislature to be better equipped with new style of leadership. Legislature should have systems that enable conflicting needs of different stakeholders to exist for the achievement of fair solutions. Honourable Deputy Speaker, it has come as a surprise to us as new members to establish that we are not catered for the terms. I mean, we are not catered in terms of the legislature's plan, as if the legislature is resisting the electoral systems and does not want to adhere to the provision of the Constitution. As a result, Honorable Deputy Speaker, we are exposed to risks by being accommodated in all these BNBs, and we are taken from pillar to post. Sihambe silala, Honorable Deputy Speaker, isidima sethu sibonakala sihuqa eldakeni. We want to raise as UDM that noba thina njengeziqu singangabantu abangahloniphekanga, kodwa ii-offices ezi sibekwe kuzo ngokomgaqo seko zona sidinga isidima. Kukulonkalo ke, Honorable Deputy Speaker, apho sithi we must try to put systems in place so that umsebenzi we-legislature wenzeke in line with the expected plan. Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Enkosi.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I will then call upon Honorable Anil Kumar. Honorable Anil Kumar, you have been allocated 14 minutes, and your 14 minutes starts now.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, Honorable Premier in absentia, EXCO members, Honorable members of this august House, the HODs, the leadership and the visitors, and also the people seeing us in the social media. It is always a pleasure to greet you on behalf of African National Congress, which stood the test of time. If you look back, Honorable Deputy Speaker, even since the Middle Ages, the Parliament has been an expectation and a hope for the people. When Alfonso IX, the King of Spain, according to the UNESCO records, he called 3 states, and that's where the first parliament in 1188 established. Again, you go for a prototype of parliament in Hungary and Belgium, when this was established. Since then, across the globe, people have been always happy because it becomes the strong, all strong parliaments becomes the cornerstone of democracy and essential for development. They represent people. They pass laws. They hold governments to account. So, the case of South Africa is not different. Since 1994, the South African Parliament and legislatures have been involved in promulgating legislative framework that must resolve societal challenges. It is not only from an economic point of view, but on a social point of view too. One has to agree that the important task to take into consideration the political landscape and the ideological landscape that influence how it functions. Therefore, as ANC, African National Congress, we are very clear on the importance of legislative work in the whole structure of the South African government to the basis of its functionality and the determination and operations of the government departments. We know that this is what determines the department. And that is where there will be a link with the people of the province, people of the country. I am standing here today to declare that our steadfast support for this 2024-2025 budget decision by Eastern Cape Provincial Legislature. This is 706 million budget. We believe that this is a vital investment for the province and our democracy. This investment gives the democratic legislature, which is about to begin its 7th term, the framework it needs to carry out its constitutional mandate, to enact the laws, to enforce the strict supervision and encouraging meaningful public environment. We know that legislatures are functioning and its performance on the day-to-day operations of the government department, there's a key link. The African National Congress is very clear that the significance of legislative action because of that investment is very key. In this regard, ANC sternly state that legislature's financial shortfall is affecting us. Almost all the political parties were talking about it. I invite your attention to Honorable Kivet, who used to be the Speaker of this Provincial Assembly. In a strategic document which was written in 2005, 2009, that